The date wasn't supposed to matter. That's what I kept telling myself while checking my reflection in the hallway mirror. Simple dress, hair tied back, nothing that set expectations. I moved to Maplewood Lane to start over, not to get caught up in something new. Still, my hands shook as I grabbed my keys. Ethan had been easy to like. We met by accident at a coffee shop. Papers dropped, smiles exchanged, conversation that lasted longer than it should have. He was calm, confident, and strangely reassuring. Tonight was our first real date. Just dinner, I whispered, locking the door behind me. Maplewood Lane was quiet in its usual unsettling way. Perfect lawns, warm porch lights, silence that felt rehearsed. The kind of neighborhood that smiled too much. Across the street, Mr. Halverson's porch light clicked on. He sat in his swing like he'd been waiting. "Evening," I said. His eyes moved over me, then to my car. "You're going somewhere." "Just a date." That word changed everything. He stood slowly, jaw tightening. "Be careful." "I will." "Where?" "Downtown, Larkin Finch." The porch swing creaked as he froze. Then he said quietly, "Don't let him drive you home." I frowned. "What?" "You drive. You leave when you want. And you don't bring him here." I laughed nervously. "Mr. Halverson, it's just dinner." His voice dropped. "So were the others." My skin prickled. "The others?" He didn't answer. Just stepped back and turned off his porch light. My phone buzzed. "Ethan." "I'm outside. I hadn't heard a car." A dark sedan idled near my driveway, headlights off. Ethan leaned out the window, smiling. Across the street, a curtain shifted. Mr. Halverson was watching. "I'll drive," I said quickly. "I get carsick." Ethan paused, then smiled. "Sure. Lead the way." As I pulled off, I glanced back. Mr. Halverson lifted one hand. Not a wave. A warning. Dinner was perfect. That was the problem. Ethan was attentive, funny, genuinely interested. Under warm lights and soft music, I felt my guard slipping. When he said, "I'm really glad you said yes," I almost believed this could be normal. Almost. "So," he said casually, "Maplewood Lane. How'd you end up there?" "It was available. Quiet." "Quiet," he repeated. "That's the word people use." I frowned. "Use for what?" He smiled without warmth. "Some places have stories." I shifted. "You mean gossip?" "More like patterns." My stomach tightened. "You sound like my neighbor." Ethan's eyes flicked up. "Halverson?" "Yes." "He warned you about me," Ethan said flatly. I froze. "How did you—" "What did he say?" "Nothing serious," I lied. "Just old man stuff." Ethan nodded slowly. "He likes to play protector." "Protector from what?" He didn't answer. Just checked his phone, then smiled again. "Want to take a walk after this? Somewhere quiet?" "No," I said too fast. "I'm tired." Something shut behind his eyes. "No pressure," he said. He paid, walked me to my car, leaned close. "Text me when you get home." It sounded like a command. Turning onto Maplewood Lane felt wrong. Every porch light was on. Not some. All. Silhouettes moved behind curtains. People watching. I parked and stayed inside the car, heart pounding. Across the street, Mr. Halverson stood on his lawn. He wasn't alone. Mrs. Daughtry from the corner house. The man who walked his dog at dawn. Others half hidden near hedges, all facing my driveway. "What is this?" I whispered. A car door clicked behind me. I turned. Ethan's sedan sat down the street, engine off. He hadn't left. My phone buzzed. "Ethan." "I'm not done yet." Fear flooded my chest. "Inside," Mr. Halverson said sharply. I bolted up my steps, slammed the door, locked it. Outside, Ethan's voice floated through the wood. "Don't be rude." Footsteps on my porch. Slow, confident. I peeked through the curtain. The neighbors were moving, together, forming a line between Ethan and my house. "You picked the wrong street," Mr. Halverson said. Ethan laughed. "Did I?" "We warned you," Mrs. Daughtry added. "You don't own her," Ethan snapped. We're not protecting ownership, Mr. Halverson said. We're protecting boundaries. Metal scraped against concrete, tools in hands, not raised but ready. Ethan's smile faded. Recognition crossed his face. You people again, he muttered. Different name, Mr. Halverson said. Same pattern. Ethan's eyes lifted to my window. To you, he called, voice cold. You think they're the good guys? Mr. Halverson stepped forward. Leave. Ethan hesitated. Then he backed away. Got into his car, drove off. The porch lights went dark one by one. The street returned to normal. Too normal. Mr. Halverson looked up at my window. You're safe here, he said, as long as you listen. I stepped back from the glass, heart racing, because I finally understood. Maplewood Lane wasn't quiet. It was guarded. And whatever Ethan was, they'd seen him before. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound outside my bedroom window felt louder than it should have. Tires on distant pavement, a door closing blocks away, the faint creak of a porch swing caught by the wind. Each time my body stiffened, waiting for footsteps that never came. By morning, Maplewood Lane looked exactly the same. Too exactly. Sunlight hit the lawns at the same angle. Neighbors watered plants, collected newspapers, waved like nothing had happened. Mrs. Daughtry smiled at me from her porch as if she hadn't stood in the dark with a metal tool hours earlier. Mr. Vance walked his dog, nodding politely. And Mr. Halverson, he sat on his porch swing, coffee mug in hand, watching. I stepped outside, unsure whether to thank him or demand answers. Morning, he said calmly, like we were discussing the weather. What was that last night? I asked. He studied me for a moment. Did he come back? No. Then it worked. That's not an answer. Mr. Halverson sighed and set his mug down. You ever notice how some people don't take no the first time? Yes, I said sharply. He wasn't here for dinner, he continued. He was here to test. Test what? The street, he said. The house. You. My stomach turned. You knew him. I knew his type. I crossed my arms. You said the others. What does that mean? He leaned back in the swing, wood creaking. Maplewood Lane didn't start guarding itself by accident. I waited. Years ago, he said, women moved in like you did. Alone. New start. Quiet place. My chest tightened. They went on dates, he continued. Met men who seemed normal, polite, charming. And then, I pressed. They disappeared, he said plainly. My breath caught. Disappeared how? Moved away, changed numbers, jobs quit overnight, no goodbyes. That happens, I said weakly. Not with cars left behind, he replied. Not with rent paid and closets still full. My stomach dropped. The police? I asked. He shook his head. Nothing solid, no patterns they wanted to see. Different names, different cities, different men. But same street, I whispered. Same kind of man, he corrected. I thought of Ethan's smile, the way he'd ask questions, the way he'd already known my neighbor's name. What happens if they don't leave? I asked. Mr. Halverson met my eyes. We make sure they do. The word we echoed in my head. You're a neighborhood watch? I asked. Something like that, he said. Unofficial, quiet. That's illegal. So is what he does, Mr. Halverson replied. I wanted to argue, to say this was insane, vigilante nonsense. But then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think they saved you? My blood went cold. Mr. Halverson saw my face change. He texted. I nodded. Another message appeared. They won't always be there. I backed up a step. How did he get my number? Mr. Halverson's jaw tightened. Because you went on the date. The phone buzzed again. You'll see me again. I blocked the number with shaking fingers. Mr. Halverson stood. He'll try once more. I'm calling the police, I said. You can, he replied. But by the time they take a report, he'll be gone again. That doesn't mean you get to decide things like this, I snapped. Then decide for yourself, he said calmly. Do you want to stay? I hesitated. Maplewood Lane suddenly felt smaller, like a trap dressed up as safety. I don't know, I admitted. He nodded. Most people don't. That's why we warn first. Warn how? I asked. Mr. Halverson looked down the street. By watching, by letting them know they've been seen. And if that doesn't work, then they stop coming back. That night I packed a bag. Not to leave, just in case. I double-checked locks, closed every curtain, left the porch light off for the first time since I moved in. At 11:47 p.m., a car rolled slowly past my house. No headlights. I watched through the curtain as it stopped at the end of the block. A familiar sedan. Ethan stepped out, looking up and down the street. No porch lights turned on. No doors opened. No neighbors appeared. The street stayed dark, silent. Ethan frowned. He walked a few steps forward, scanning windows. Then he stopped, because one porch light clicked on. Mr. Halverson's, then another. Mrs. Daughtry's, then another, and another. The street woke up around him. Ethan looked around, panic finally cracking through his calm. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. Mr. Halverson stepped onto his porch. "You were warned," he called. Ethan laughed shakily. "You think this scares me?" "It should," Mr. Halverson said. "You came back after a no." Ethan's eyes flicked to my house, to my dark window. "This isn't over," he said loudly for me to hear. Mr. Halverson replied, "It is tonight." Ethan stared for a long second. Then he got back in his car and drove away. The lights went off. One by one, the street returned to silence. I stepped back from the window, heart pounding. I understood now. Maplewood Lane wasn't a place where bad things didn't happen. It was a place that made sure they didn't happen twice. And whether that made me feel safe or trapped, I still hadn't decided.